Hi everyone. This week's question has to do with absolute values. So the way I look at these at the beginning is actually a lot like parentheses. Now we'll talk about the absolute value point once we simplify what's on the inside. So these bars are what we call absolute value symbols, or absolute value brackets, or absolute value bars. Now what I would do first when I'm looking at these problems is look at the absolute values, whatever's inside of these bars, as if they were parentheses. So first of all, we're going to simplify what's on the inside of the absolute value. 3 minus 2, we get 1, minus 4 minus 6, we get negative 2. Okay, now once we get what's on the inside of the absolute value bars as simple as possible, there's two ways to think about absolute values. One way, we can simply say that you always have the positive version of whatever's inside. So the positive version of positive 1 is positive 1, which when we write it this way, then we can get rid of the absolute values. The positive version of negative 2 is 2. So our final answer would be negative 1. That's a lot of the times the way I look at it. Now, another option would be if we looked at it where the absolute value is the distance that number is from 0. Okay, so when we have 1, if this is 0, 1, 2, negative 1, negative 2, the distance 1 is from 0 is 1 minus, now we look at the negative 2. The distance negative 2 is from 0 is 1, 2. We get a 2, and that minus sign is coming from here. Right, so that's just bringing it down. And here again, we get a negative 1. Okay, so that's two different ways to look at absolute values. But prior to doing this part, prior to either looking at absolute values as the positive version of whatever's on the inside, or looking at absolute values as the distance the number is from 0, or the number of units the number is from 0. Prior to that, we want to make sure that the absolute value is entirely simplified. So if whatever is in here is not just one number or a number in a certain number of variables, then it's not simple enough. We want to make sure that it's as simple as possible, so that when we take the absolute value, we are able to make sure we're not going to get kind of tricked or something. Sometimes taking the absolute value prior to fully simplifying that quantity can get us in trouble. So look forward. Now we'll take a look at our next week's problem. I'll send in the email, and hopefully all is well.